winning excuses everything. If you're playing good, you forgive it. I mean, we have some big stars who've had allegations similar, from rape, sexual assault, murder. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as they're winning, if he would have won that, been winning, we wouldn't even having this conversation. What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. I am Tavares Ferguson, joined my co-hosts Buff and Rozzy. Fellas, what it do?
Talking about a crash and burn. You know, I talked about Kraven the Hunter and how it was going to start and come out, and we pretty much knew it was going to crash and do poorly. It did really poorly. To the point where they only made $11 million opening weekend. That's the worst opening of a comic book movie, worse than Madam Web. Worse, it was just bad. It was really, really, really bad. Bad to the point that Sony literally has said that they've made all that they're going to make right now, and they're going to focus on Spider-Man, and that's it. So Sony has finally kind of come around to, no matter what is going on, and no matter how good the movie or bad the movie, that's the excuse they're using. Let me back up. They are saying that the media has made these movies seem bad. They're not as bad as people think, and that it's the media's fault. Now, I will step back and say, hey, Venom did pretty well because the first one, because it was a pretty good movie. To first point, the second one was so bad that he didn't even know the third one was coming out. And so, you know, the third one came out, it did poorly because it sucked as a movie. It's not about...
There's no third Venom movie.
Right. It's not really about whether it's good or bad, or it's not whether it's in the shared universe that Sony has built. I think they call it the Spider-Man universe or whatever, that Spider-Man's not even in. But we ain't even going to talk about that. It's that they keep making these really, really bad movies, and bad choices from comics, and put in the comic book characters that nobody cares about, and they're trying to create these backstories that nobody knows about. So they're taking the characters and creating new movies with them, and then they think that people are just going to flock because it's a comic book character. And so they just have the entire idea of what comic book people want, and so they're not catering to the people who really want to go and watch these comic book movies. So I think that's really what it is. But luckily they gave up, or they're giving up.
If they want to make a comic book movie that's non-Spider-Man, they're going to have to go... I think Doc Ock would be a good... They got to find a way to do something like that. You know,
they have to lean in and let it be they have to be evil. The problem is they're trying to make all of these bad villains anti-heroes. Yeah, and they're not. Let them be villains and make a movie about the villain, and let them lose at the end, or let them win at the end and make a second one where they lose. Do a Rocky type thing, but let them be a villain. Stop trying to make them heroes. I think that's really what it comes down to. I mean, what movies do we have about villains, from the villain perspective? When you look at Godfather and stuff like that, it's okay to make them where, okay, I like them, but Penguin was a prime example. That's a perfect example, right? He was a villain, and we still rooted for him in the end, and they didn't try to make him into a good guy. He was a villain the entire time. So
Byron, you didn't root for Penguin?
Penguin is probably one of the most awful characters I've seen portrayed on screen. He's worse than the Joker. At least with the Joker, you knew what he wanted. He just wanted to create chaos and, to an extreme extent, point out hypocrisy within our systems. The Penguin is just an awful human being. He's awful on all levels. And you learn more and more each episode. Because at first you are rooting for him. You are rooting for him. And then the more you learn, it's
Yeah, the finale. The finale.
You a piece of shit.
The finale.
So you went and watched it. So I'm glad.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
But was it enjoyable?
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it had you.
And that's what I mean, though. They left him a villain, right? And so there was a twist. Yeah. There was a turn. It was an arc there. That's fine. And I think that's what they need to do if they really want to just create a movie about Spider-Man's villains. Make them Venom villains. Or use Sandman. Sandman has a really, really good storyline about him, doing the things that he's doing just for his daughter. They can make it's Spider-Man, so they can't do like Mr. Freeze or anything like that. So there are villains that you really do feel for, and you want to see them win, even though they're doing bad things. Use those, but the villains that they're picking aren't those types of characters. Kraven's just a bad dude, and they said, let's use the name Kraven, say that it's Kraven's son, and make him like an environmentalist. What? That's not what we want to see, and that's not what we know.
I haven't seen the movie, and I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, because I don't know if I'm going to see the movie. So hold off for a sec.
No, that's from just the trailers. Everybody is kind of talking about. It's not actual Kraven's son. Like you see that in the movie or in the trailer. So because I haven't seen it either, so I don't know what it's about.
Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to that. But no, you're right. They just need to change it up.
Yeah. And speaking of villains, just want to let you guys know Dexter's back. So if you liked Dexter or the show Dexter, they brought back a new series about him in his early years before. So it's set before the original series. So it's kind of him growing up and becoming the serial killer that we know and love in Dexter. So if you like that, that's out. And they're talking about doing a spinoff of that show where they talk about the Zodiac killer that he fought, or, I think it was like season 3 or 4, where he had kind of the most successful serial killer in the world, in their world. And so they're going to do a spinoff on that. So just kind of excited about that, man.
The Trinity Killer.
The Trinity Killer. That's it. Yeah. So they're going to do a spinoff on him. So that's really all I got, other than a little business news out there for the folks that like things like that. Honda, Nissan have announced that they're looking to merge into a holding company, and so that they can fight some of the larger conglomerates out there, because they are losing ground in the EV market and everything like that. And Mitsubishi was like, "Oh, what? Oh, word? I want to get in on that too." And so Mitsubishi is trying to jump in. So it might be Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi coming together to form a holding company. Stock will go on sale late 2026 if you guys are interested in that. I probably will grab some. So, but I'm not giving stock advice. I'm not giving any type of investment advice. I'm just letting y'all know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to buy some of that because, those are really, really strong companies. They have really big footholds. And so by them coming together, I think that's going to be really good for them to be able to kind of try to catch up on some of the technology and things. But what that does mean is that Honda and Nissan and Mitsubishi are probably going to have kind of the same platforms, the same technology inside of them, that type of thing. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think there's way too many car companies out there. And so by bringing them together and having the basics of it, kind of like what Cadillac and Chevy and everybody used to do, is like they can actually get layers and levels to their stuff versus every car company trying to have every layer and every level of car out there. So that came across my feed because I had to go buy a new car. So I did a whole bunch of car research. And so it messed up my algorithm. So now my algorithm is all about vehicles and cars. So hopefully that'll go away now that I've pulled the trigger and actually bought something. So, but that's all I got, man.
Very cool. Happy New Year. That's first and foremost. Hope your 2025 is off to a great start. I don't have much either. So before I get to what I do have, let me just make sure you subscribe, Three Brothers No Sense, on any podcast platform. Check out our website, threebrothersnosense.com, where you can catch the latest episode as well as some cool ass merch. Only thing I have is It Ends With Us. It dropped this past August, and it is on Netflix now. And I've never seen. So first off, I didn't know anything about the book. that it's based on. I just was looking for something to watch, glass of bourbon in my hand. I read the caption. I was like, let's see if this is worth a watch. And it turned out to be. I've never seen a movie that deals with domestic abuse like this movie has. And I can't really go into detail without giving the movie away. But I will say, if you don't know anything about the book like me, then I think it makes for watching it even more enjoyable, because you have the reveal, so to say, like that is very surprising to you as a viewer when they do it. I can't do the movie much justice without giving it away, but let's just say it's a movie about domestic abuse. It's nothing like, although I did see the joke that said it ends with us as just a Tyler Perry movie with white people. I thought that was funny. That's not true in my opinion. It's not true, but I thought that was funny. But it's nothing like What's Love Got to Do with It, or any of these other movies where it's just flat out the guy starts off nice and then starts beating his woman. It's very much more nuanced. And I think it does a great job of giving the POV of the abuser. I think there's a part in the movie where the abused gives the POV of the abused. And I think it does a good job of trying to reach potential abusers that are out there, which I've never seen a movie really try to do other than just paint them as a villain, which they are. But, if we ever want to try to make a dent in this epidemic of, spousal abuse and domestic abuse, I do think at some point you do need to try and reach the abuser and see what the whole origin of them turning into that type of person is. I think they do a good job of that. It's a good story. So check it out if you don't have anything to watch. It Ends With Us is on Netflix, based on the book by Colleen Hoover. Also, it has a lot of drama behind it because the two main characters have a lawsuit against one another in real life now. So that has its drama outside of the movie, but the movie itself is pretty good, man. So check that out. If you guys ever decide to watch it, because it's portrayed as a rom-com. It's not really a rom-com. It got abuse in it, so I don't think that's really a rom-com. But if y'all ever watch it, man, I think it'll be real dope to discuss the different layers.
It's a movie or is it a series?
It's a movie.
Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah. Especially since, from what I'm gathering, it makes the person less villainous and there's a human aspect to it. And I think, to my theory on any change to oppress people, is you have to humanize the oppressor to a certain extent. And I'm not trying to take anything away from what they're doing or what they've done. I don't think most people, the average person, doesn't want to be the villain.
Right.
But when you can tap into like, hey, what's really going on? Even when like the Me Too movement came out and all that stuff, and there was a lot of backlash. I'm not saying these guys didn't do evil things. There's certain things that go just way above, not forgiveness, but like understanding. But it's like, hey, I forgot who said it's like we kind of grew up in this the time period of how did he say it? I forgot what it was. Basically, it was just like, hey, we kind of grew up in this, so this is we normalize a lot of this sexualizing women or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Not saying it's right, not saying anything's like, but you're a product of that environment, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're saying, hey, there's a lot of, for the most part, good people who make mistakes, right? And so how do we reach them? How do we say, there is hope for you? Because even in situations I've known where there's people in what I call abusive relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abusive relationships. And full disclaimer, I'm not trying to take away from any of the abuse or what happened. I'm just saying, when you talk to both parties and you kind of see what leads up to certain situations, Some people can be very antagonistic. Some people can abuse in their own way, right? It's even okay. I mean, we've been at movies or seen shows where the woman slaps a guy and people cheer. Like she should, like it's okay for her to have that woman. That not even a. Usually when that, on TV or whatever, when that woman has that moment, it's not a moment of weakness. It's almost a moment of rebellion and strength. And she stood up for herself finally. That's okay, right? But you take this one guy in the situation, he has a moment of weakness where he snaps because it shows, in life, people snap, right? Like it happens. And now he's a villain. I'm not saying your Ike Turners out there. I'm not saying those people. I'm just like, you put, it's a whole nother conversation, but I'm very interested to see it.
Yeah. And one quick thing too, it kind of, the way it's shot, it makes you as the viewer, when you initially watch it, you find yourself excusing some of the red flags. Like there are some red flags in the movie. And then, like I say, once the reveal happens, you're like, you know what? That was that was a red flag. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, it's like, oh, come on, man. Nah, that's not, so it's
not a big deal, is it?
Yeah.
And so I think that's life, and so once we can start having those real conversations, what can we do to improve the situation versus, having somebody on the defensive because they don't want to be the villain. When somebody puts up the defense, it's hard to move forward, right? But you mentioned Tyler Perry.
I did.
I'm going to go into the new year because I try to be very open. And did you guys watch 688?
Mm-hmm. No. Yep, I was gonna bring it up when he talked about the Tyler Perry with white people. So glad you brought it up.
It's not a
traditional Tyler Perry movie, right? But it is.
Really?
It is, because he does have Tyler Perry. Like, there's some wigs that are like, there's some situations where like,
some dialogue we were like, ooh, that was forced. Yeah.
It seems like there's a limited amount of research on the military, covers on inside, all kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's the concept. And anytime there's a period piece that highlights unsung heroes, I'm going to always, especially Black unsung heroes, I'm going to always appreciate it. And telling a story that nobody really knows. So the 688 is about a all Black women's Army Corps that they didn't even really have a MOS. They didn't have a job title. They joined the military to fight and protect the country in World War II, circa 1945. And they're led by a Major Mary Adams, I think.
Mm-hmm. Adams, yeah.
Yeah, Mary Adams. And essentially what their mission ends up being is they have to deliver mail in Normandy or across the country to soldiers who weren't getting it. And it sounds like such a mean, even when they got the task, they're like, what the hell is this? But there was, I think, 17 million pieces of mail that hadn't been delivered going out and in. So soldiers who were writing family members and loved ones who were writing their soldiers. And I think there was like a 10-month backlog of mail. And despite all odds, of course, there was a lot of women can't do this. Black women can't do this. A lot of sabotage to make sure that they didn't succeed. But at the end of the day, they were able to accomplish their mission. And they gave them 6 months to deliver all these 17 million pieces of mail. And I mean, they went through every obstacle that you can imagine. Even they had to create their own mail system and being able to track down troops. It's a really good movie. There was certain parts of it that I wasn't too fond of. There was partially a white savior aspect of it that I wasn't, fond of. Also,
more motivation. Was it a savior piece or more motivation? I don't think it was...
At a certain point, I I hit the Whitley's mom from a different world. Just die already. Just die. Like, nigga, you dead. Die. You know, you in the first 7 minutes of the movie, die. Like, it's over. But, you know, it's a good story. And being somebody who's a veteran, somebody who knows the importance, and because it was about the morale of the troops, and Rising can speak to it. And anytime you got mail, that meant the world to you.
Yeah.
You
it's
know,
funny.
somebody.
It brought up, me and Leah were discussing the mail and how they allow basic trainees to have their phones now. And it robs them of preparing for those times that you don't have a cell phone at war. There, you get deployed, or you go places, even if it's not at war, you get deployed to places sometimes it just doesn't have cell phone service. And that mail becomes super duper important. Mail calls is a big thing, and even if you have a cell phone, just get in those care packages and so it might not be the mail, but it might just be things. It reminded me of when my dad was deployed, and we used to send video cassettes. So both of us bought like recorders, and we would record just being able to hear each other's voice, because they didn't have phones or anything. It was really hard to get phone time. So we would record messages on a cassette and mail it over to him, and just, you know, say we miss him, Merry Christmas or whatever. Because he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna see y'all for Christmas. He'd send us a recording of him saying Merry Christmas, and so hopefully we got it. If we got it in time, my mom would hold it until Christmas, and boom, she'd play it on Christmas. So it'd be my dad saying Merry Christmas. So mail is so important, and basic trainees don't get that because they still have their cell phone. They still are connected. So that's one of the things that I feel they probably should walk back and not let them have their phones. And hey, for 10 weeks, you got to write letters. You got to write emails. This is what, it is. You get your 3 calls over the 8-10 weeks or whatever. And that's how many times you can actually talk to somebody, because you're preparing them for those times that they aren't going to have that connection like that.
Oh, and just disconnecting them from the world. Like, part of the training is disconnecting and focusing on the training at hand. But it was a really good movie overall. I mean, I enjoyed it. And what I didn't know is Fort Lee, where Cooley went to basic training. We know all the people that went to Fort Lee. No, was it Fort Lee or Fort? Yeah, it was Fort Lee. Mm-hmm. That's where, yeah.
Yeah, and now, and it's Charity Adams, not Mary. So it's Charity Adams.
You're right. Yeah. Charity Adams. That didn't sound right. So Charity Adams. So now it is named. In 2023 they renamed Fort Lee after Fort Lee was a
Confederate
General Lee. And so they changed the name when they were trying to be politically correct from Fort Lee to Fort Griggs Adams. And so one of it's named after I want to say a black general, and the other one was named after Lieutenant Colonel Griggs. Adams. So that's actually pretty cool. And that meant more to me than anything in the movie. At the end of the day, I was like, that's pretty awesome. Because in basic training and stuff like that, you keep hearing these histories of stories of these soldiers who made a difference. And you're on Manchester Hill, and this is because Private First Class Manchester dropped on a grenade in 1948 and saved 7. Like, you heard all these stories, and to hear this story told, and them to rename one of probably the largest army posts in the country after 2 black influential veterans, that's huge. So And last but not least, did you guys all watch Beyonce Bowl?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
and that's what they're calling it. I mean, were you not entertained? Oh, Rise, you're a Beyonce fan anyway, so Rise is part of the Beehive.
Yeah, I was DJing on the party bus for Ferg's birthday party, and he called me a bad bitch. I don't know how I felt about that, but
I feel like my best friend's a baddie, dog.
Oh man,
yeah. I forgot he might have came out the gate with like Sexy Red or Glorilla or some shit like that. I was like, dude. As soon as he came out, all the chicks start dancing and twerking. I'm like, Lord.
That's why I did it. I'm here to entertain them. It's about them.
Those are not the only songs chicks will dance to, right? That's not an excuse.
He's definitely a baddie. So
That's funny.
all right, yeah. Beyonce Bowl had over 27 million viewers, and
Netflix did a good job of the streaming, right? It didn't buffer as much.
It's funny too, because on Twitter, like basketball, NBA enthusiasts, they were all happy. They was like, oh yeah, you see that? The Christmas ratings for the NBA games were up like 5 times, whatever. Like it was like way up. So NFL didn't affect us. Then the NFL came out with them ratings. They was like 5 times more what the highest NBA game got. I think Golden State Lakers got like close to 8 million. And of course, Ravens Texans got like 27 million. So
like, yeah. They got 27. I think 27.4 by halftime. But there was a lot of backlash from country music enthusiasts that she's not truly country and all this stuff, and it was just it's just people find something to complain about everything, and Black Twitter came back talking about, well, she got 20 million more views than the CMAs this year, so I don't know what you want to say. So now we all know it wasn't just Beyonce, but the Beehive won't believe anything different. They believe all 27 million people who were watching the game tuned in for Beyonce. It went from 24 million to 23 million.
I was gonna say, like her performance was like the highest peak. You know what I mean? But it was just like men already watching the game, and then the Beyonce fans, they
that definitely happened. I mean, and especially because it was a horrible game. Texans got the brakes beat off of them.
Brakes beat off of them. Yeah.
So
I was okay with it. I enjoyed it.
I mean, considering that I'm in search, but I'm quietly rooting for the Ravens. I'm not even saying quietly. Ravens are probably my top team right now that I'm pulling for. It's just the fact that I want something closer to home where I can truly be a fan and
get some season tickets or go to a couple games, not just like having to travel to one. Yeah, that I have found myself.
That helps, man.
With the Green Bay, because you guys know I'm a Green Bay fan, been for a long time. I haven't been like I'm not going out of my way to watch the Green Bay games as much anymore. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Aaron Rodgers kind of after Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
But y'all are pretty good, man.
Yeah, they're pretty good, and it's wild that I still I haven't connected with, I guess, Love and that crew as much anymore. I don't know. I haven't connected with them, and so I just haven't been following them as hard. It's funny. I probably follow Baltimore just as much as I follow Green Bay now, and so just they're more interesting to me right now.
Yeah.
So not switching. I'm still a Green Bay fan, but
Lamar for MVP.
I actually don't want him to get it. It's been weaponized against him. I don't want him to win any more MVPs until he wins a Super Bowl. Because now the talk is he's the only 2-time MVP that doesn't have a Super Bowl win. So if he wins a third one, it's going to be even
more. Yeah, and that's what's so crazy is people can't just be great and just have certain limitations, right? Like this dude is dynamic in what he does. There's certain situations that part of his coaching, part of the situation.
When nothing else matters but winning, I think as sports fans, it's kind of made people not appreciate greatness.
Yeah, that is true. And
you know what I mean?
I mean, that's the thing about it. I don't know if it's a world we live in now where it's all about winning. Like it's all about, to the point where I was talking to somebody the other day, it's like, y'all realize only one team can win every year. That doesn't take away from anybody else's season, what they've done personally, how they've grown. It's only one team can win. It doesn't mean that other teams are trash. It's just that one team that 1 year found themselves in a situation where I'm not even saying they were better than everybody else. They won it all. Yeah. Going back to our conversation earlier, Eli Manning and the Giants. Were they the best team in the NFL that year? Not at all. Was Eli Manning the best quarterback in the league? Not at all. Just that Sunday, the matchup and the coaching and the stars aligned and helmet catches and all kind of, it took stuff that you've never seen before, because if you don't have a helmet catch, you don't have a Super Bowl win, right? It's if you throw that pass 100 times, 99 times that pass is going to be incomplete, right? So
yeah.
Hi, here's your report.
Thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire a whole team of yous.
Try posting a job on LinkedIn. It's the world's largest professional network. Unlike resumes, LinkedIn gives a real-time view into a candidate's skills, experiences, and more.
Huh, let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Find your perfect match with LinkedIn. Post your free job at linkedin.com/achieve. That's linkedin.com/achieve. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Whether you're running errands with the kids or heading on a weekend escape, the new 2025 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid is packed with class-leading advanced safety features like blind spot view monitor, forward collision avoidance assist, and wireless phone charging, so you can stay focused on what really matters. Learn more about the new Tucson Hybrid at HyundaiUSA.com.
what else we got? Who wants to go first? Is Sophie here?
She is, but she can't talk. So.
Oh man! Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, she got her tonsils out, her and Ollie. So, both of them are downstairs with like the big, like, what is it, ice pack around their throat, and Ollie won't talk at all. He's just like using sign language and pointing at stuff. So, yeah, I told them I'd buy them one of those little bells so they can just like let me know when they need me. But they've been doing good, man. I'm proud of them. But no, she can't. No jokes for her today.
All right, so no joke.
Damn. Damn.
You know what? I owe you one. Give us what you got.
You got a joke? I really didn't have one. Let me see if I can find one real quick. We'll just skip it today. If I find a good one, I'll do it.
All right. Cool.
All right. So let's go ahead and do our last show of the year. Who wants to go first?
So we kind of opened the show talking about villains and the complicated villains and stuff like that. So I'll kind of keep that theme going a little bit, because we also talked about the NFL. So as you guys know or may not know, Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, we all know about the allegations, almost, what is it, like in the 50s or whatever, he had a whole bunch of allegations about inappropriate behavior with his masseuse, where he had to pay out payments to them in civil case. So he's never been criminally convicted of anything, but civilly he has been found liable. With that said, though, he still was able to get a huge contract in Cleveland last year, and he wound up getting hurt halfway through the season. Came back this year, didn't play that great, and then wound up having a season-ending injury at home in Cleveland, and a lot of the fans kind of cheered. And so I'm not even sure what type of question I want to ask from that, other than you have this person that hasn't been like in criminal court found guilty of anything, though many of us have our own theories on what happened. But did he deserve to be booed for that? Because I kind of called the Cleveland Brown fans out on the fact that they were somewhat okay with him when they thought he was going to come and win games. It wasn't really until he was playing bad and then he got hurt that they was like, thank God. I feel like if he was playing great, you wouldn't have heard any boos. But even still, if they were booing him simply because, hey, we didn't want him as our quarterback because, of these things that he was alleged to have done, does he deserve to have his demise celebrated that way, like that? Do you feel like what he's been accused of justifies the reaction he got from a season-ending injury?
I'll start because I think mine's simple. those boos had nothing to do with
the allegations.
It just made it easier to villainize him.
Yeah.
We've seen people who had probably worse allegations win, go out there and win, right? And people love them. If you're playing good, winning excuses everything. Winning excuses everything. If you're playing good, you forgive it. I mean, we have some big stars who've had allegations similar, from rape, sexual assault, murder. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as they're winning, if he would have been winning, we wouldn't even having this conversation. You know, if he would have been winning and got hurt, they're like, he can't catch a break. You know, it has nothing to do with that. It was just they want to win, and you know, and I guess it's part of it. If you can take the money and you win and you get the cheers, then you it's fine. If you take the money and you lose and you get the boos, it's fine too. He still got paid.
Mm-hmm.
He still got paid. Now, if they would have withheld his money, that's a whole nother conversation. So yeah, I mean, it had nothing to do with the allegations. It just made it easier to say we're just not fair weather fans, but nothing to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, there was a little bit of outrage when, you know, he was signed. And so, you know, let's not act like they were just like, yay, when he got signed, right? There was a little bit of outrage. And to Ferg's point, I do think that how he played led to how they reacted, right, with the season. He wasn't producing for him. But I love what you said about winning excuses everything, Ferg, because bring it back to the political side of it. That's how Donald Trump won. The right won under him. And so they got all the things that they wanted. And so they can excuse all of the bad stuff, all the things he did, because they're like, we're going to win the things that really, really care, what we really care about. And so what he does personally or whatever does not matter to them. Hell, what he does and actually criminally does not matter to them because they're going to win. So I think it's the exact same thing here. They excused it because he was going to help them win. And when he wasn't helping them win anymore, they can no longer excuse what he's doing criminally or civilly or morally. It's just very, very easy to find something wrong with that person when you really don't want them on your team anymore because they're not helping you out. And so I think that's really what it came down to. I don't think it was where what they do drives the fan response. I think it's what they do on the field drives fan response, and they're just going to look for whatever they can to either excuse it or hold him accountable once he's not winning anymore.
Then Trump win Ohio?
He did.
Yep.
He sure did. You know, it's funny. You guys both hit it on the head, especially Razio when you took it politically, because I think at the end of the day, obviously this doesn't include everybody, but for most people, it comes down to your own self-interest. I root for the Cleveland Browns. He's not helping them win, so the hell with him. Okay, fine. If he was helping them win, then you would be devastated. And we see that with athletes and teams all the time with fan bases. You know, if you provided this feel good, if you provided these highlights that I remember and really enjoyed watching, then I'm a defend you a little harder when the allegations come versus if you somebody that wasn't playing great, you didn't give me those feel good moments, you didn't help my team win. Getting the hell out of here. Politics.
Yeah.
Like you said with the incoming president, he won. And so people that want those type of policies that he's putting out there, they defend it, because the same people who voted for him, going back to Beyonce, was criticizing her, saying why she shouldn't even be allowed to perform with her husband facing these allegations. It's like, oh, wait a minute. You don't see who's coming to the White House?
Right.
But it comes back to your self-interest and who you agree with. Like, it was hard for people to imagine Bill Cosby being guilty of the things he was accused of, because their whole childhood was surrounded on being raised by this character, this TV dad that provided laughs, provided good memories, and there's no way if it was a show you didn't give a shit about, yeah, that nigga probably did
it. Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of these public opinion things just come back to our self-interest, man.
So let's think about, you brought Bill Cosby. I was going to actually bring that up. Martin, you got to think how the show ended.
Yeah.
You know, there was some allegations there, but I'm gonna one up you on this. It doesn't have to be politics. It doesn't have to be sports. You can make damn good music.
Oh,
we excused R. Kelly as a people for years. We knew when it was happening that he was messing with Aaliyah.
Yep.
It took trial. There's videos of him peeing on a chick. I mean, what underage chick?
A
14-year-old girl. And
it took a 4-part Lifetime documentary.
Yes, for it's like, you know what? And it wasn't even a doc. You know what? He hasn't made any good music in a while that I can relate to for me to defend him. Right?
Yeah.
We excuse so much. Chrisette Michele performs what inauguration. She was making music that everybody was just vibing to and all that stuff. So it was like, oh, you rock with Trump, you're gone. That's it. She didn't say she rocked. She just performed. She was asked to perform at the presidential inauguration, which I'm pretty sure in their world is a big deal, right?
Yeah, as a musical artist, right?
Yeah,
that's a big deal. Yeah.
You know, Mississippi Valley State just got invited to perform at the inauguration parade, and it seems like they're going to accept it. You know, do we cancel them? If you're winning, and you're making good music and stuff like that, and the people vibing with you, they're going to make excuses for you. If you're easy, like, oh, who? Chrisette Michele. Oh, Chrisette Michele. Okay. She did what? Oh, cancel her. It's very rare we cancel people at the peak, the pinnacle of their career.
Yeah.
If we love them.
I'll bring it to food. It was pretty easy for me to cancel Papa John's. But when they were like, Chick-fil-A did some stuff, I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to have to rock with them.
How many times have we canceled Chick-fil-A?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
How many times have we supposed to cancel? Chick-fil-A continuously shows us they are who they are.
Yep. They're homophobic. They are not as racist, but they are very, very much a MAGA supporting, like right leaning organization, and they know it. They anti-abortion. They support a lot of those policies, but their chicken is glorious, and so
yeah,
you got trade-offs there. Trade-offs.
You know what else hurts them too is like when there's visual evidence. So like if it's someone we like, we will fight the allegations. But once there's because I think a lot of people are defending Diddy for the most part. And then the Cassie tape came out, it's like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So like Dr. Dre has similar allegations. Chris Brown, similar allegations. And Chris Brown went through a little bit of backlash, but I feel like he's charging women $1,000 to take a picture with him or whatever he's charging. So I would say it's kind of safe to say he's back.
Right.
Dre never really faced it, I don't think, at all. He had to make like a statement before Straight Outta Compton, the movie, came out. But other than that, he was allowed to perform at the Super Bowl and everything. There's no video of Dre beating on Michelle. We saw pictures of Rihanna, but we didn't. I think if we saw video of Chris Brown attacking Rihanna or doing some of the things he's accused of with Karrueche, then things would be different. But like that video with Diddy, that kind of did it for a lot of people. Ray Rice, that did it for a lot of people.
But he still came back.
Who that?
Ray Rice.
I don't think he played anymore after that. And you know what I'll say about Ray Rice? This might get me in trouble. Ray Rice is the only person I know that actually did the work. And this has been documented and reported. And I'm not saying you got to forgive him. You don't have to forgive him. But he's the only person I've seen that actually like did the work to rehabilitate himself. Like talking to victims and it's like I think Jamel Hill like even wrote a report on it. Like it's documented that he has put in the work. He's done more than the apology tour. Like he actually did the work.
Right.
Whether or not, I'm not saying you got to forgive him, but unlike a lot of other people, it's just kind of like, that was a long time ago. Y'all need to get past that. Like he actually.
Come on, like Solange.
Uh-oh. See, now he
goes back to
okay.
It ends with us, right? That's what I was saying earlier.
Hey.
You know, like not only she was applauded, she was a hero. It was all kind of stuff. She put her hands on that man.
Yeah. And nobody gives Jay any credit for not knocking her the hell out.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
There's some credit for that.
And she won light fisted.
Nah, she went in on him. I didn't think about that one.
And she was up. Not only there was no backlash. Back to my original statement, when we were talking about It Ends With Us, she was applauded.
Yeah,
she was applauded.
That's what he get for embarrassing his wife like that. Yeah,
I was heated. So I'm like, at one point, do we say, be adult, keep your hands to yourself? We all get emotional. We all get pissed. I guess people assume there's a class that men take or should have taken to learn how to deal with their emotions. I'm here to tell you, there's no class. You know, and I would say, like, if we're both heated and we're at a 6, 7, and something gets you to a 9 and you put your hands on me, we're both at a 7. Once you put your hands on me, I go from a 7 to a 12, but I'm expected to keep calm. I don't get it. I'll never get it, you know? So, but let's keep the party going. Who's next?
I can. We're talking about villains, and I want to talk about the villain of the car world. Shout out to the minivan. The minivan gets such a bad rap, and I just want to say that, you know, I fell into that trap as well. I talked at the opening about, you know, I went out, I was looking for a new car, and I looked at a minivan, and when you look at all the things that a minivan can do, all the amenities and how comfortable it is and how easy it is for the kids to jump in and out of it, and the gas mileage and all of that. And I still couldn't bring myself to buy one. And so I just want to ask you, brothers, why does the minivan get such a bad rap?
Because of slavery.
Because of slavery.
It all goes back to slavery.
This too is because of slavery.
This too is because of slavery. I haven't figured out the connection yet, but I don't know.
It's not a good looking vehicle. I feel like minivans are mostly used for. I mean, I seen it in drive-bys on movies, and you know what? It's so tied.
It's useful for a drive-by. See, that's what I'm saying. So why do more gangbangers not drive minivans? I don't get it.
I think they do.
No, they drive Suburbans and stuff like that, which blacked out Suburbans and get you pulled over for a minivan.
Right.
I think it's gotten so tied to soccer moms that, you know, it just kind of, it took away any male interest by it being so tied to soccer moms. I will say, the times I enjoy seeing a minivan is when I'm with a group of people and we need an Airbnb. I mean, a Lyft.
Oh, Lyft. Yeah.
You need an Uber. We need an Uber for everybody, and you do that Uber XL, and you like, man, I sure hope no damn Honda CRV don't pull up. Like when a minivan pull up, like, oh, we good. Everybody, let's go. Like that's the happiest I'm ever to see a minivan. Because I'm like, we all gonna fit comfortably in this stuff.
Right, but again, that's the amenities, right? Like for families,
I don't want to own one.
It's just for y'all. I get it, but like,
I don't want to own one.
There's no downside to it. I think it's because the minivan is a fairly new concept for cars. It's a cross between the station wagons of yesteryear, because we grew up with. Think about it. You ain't know nobody in the 80s that or in the not the cargo vans. I forgot what the big
sprinters or whatever, like the passenger vans,
like the raper, the molester van. The vans. Don't you see a van? Don't get in it. Don't
Oh man, those vans did get a bad rap. Oh man,
you driving around in your shag wagon or whatever.
Damn, that's messed up.
So I think the minivan market they initially came out like, how do we introduce this? And they targeted a certain group. They targeted the moms. They targeted certain people.
So it's a product of its own success, right? Like they targeted the soccer moms. Soccer moms adopted it, and so only soccer moms can drive it now. It's almost like Subaru. Subaru came out and they targeted lesbian women. Right, like butch lesbian women. Literally, that was their marketing. That's really? Literally what they did. They chose that market, and they found a niche, and they said, "We're going to do that." And what happened was they were the product of their own success, and now it's very hard for them to get out of that. And anybody except for kind of that lifestyle choice, like not just like gay women or like butch women, but like there's a certain niche that drives a Subaru, and that's it. And they can't shake it.
What Ferg said, though, I guess there are vehicle villains, because the Ford Bronco, it just made a comeback.
Yeah.
Because once OJ took his ride, they stopped selling it. Mm-hmm. It became that much of a villain. It just rehabilitated himself to where it could come back.
It had to go get itself together.
Yeah.
It went to rehab.
It went through therapy.
Yeah.
So the van, not the minivan, but the pedophile van.
Yeah,
it needs rehabilitation.
It disappeared though. You can't find. I wouldn't even know what I wouldn't know because I knew people
who had a full-size customized van.
The joint with the spare tire on the back and the little mini ladder.
Yeah, them things. Yeah. Because I had Tyson, people from my church. Shout out to the Davis family. They had one, and it packed everybody. Like we used to move around in that van. The minivan was a concept, especially I think now that more people their kids are being more active, and it's not just we say soccer mom, but there's so many kids who are active in sports and stuff like that. There's people who are picking up the kids, carpooling from gymnastics to dance and soccer and all these things, and you can throw Jasmine's you can pick her up and her homegirl up for dance and throw their stuff in the back and still have plenty of room and all this stuff. There's nothing. We have a minivan. We have a Toyota Sienna, and it's awesome. I mean, we have plenty of room. We very, very rarely use the third row, and if you don't use the third row, it has more trunk space than any of these large SUVs. Even when you use the third row, unless you get an extra large SUV like a Suburban, extended cab Suburban, you're not going to have as much room. Because I think what opened my eyes up to minivans is when I worked for a rental car place, and people would request an extra large vehicle or large SUV because we're driving to Disney for spring break, and they wanted a Tahoe or something. They'll get it, and it's like, we can't do shit with this. It can fit 2 luggages, and
right.
And I mean, I had to start making big problem solving, and I would realize that the minivan was a solution, and they hated grown ass men going on a guy trip. Dog, get a minivan. Nah, telling you, get a minivan.
Hey, a new marketing tool they can try is you show a couple, they each got a nice car. The dad has his nice car, mom has a nice car. And then they got the minivan for all their kids. Hey, this is the vehicle you use when you don't want your kids to mess it up. When they want to eat fast food on the way from the game and stuff, this is what you need. You don't want them eating in your BMW or your Mercedes. Get you a minivan. Mm-hmm. And I think that
but most people can't afford 3 cars.
You laugh, but that's literally why I went and bought a car. Because, I have my car. And I was like, what happened over the last 2 weeks? So my Dodge died. So I had a Dodge Journey. It was a crossover. So that was my kind of compromise there, right? And it died. And for the last 2 to 3 weeks, the kids have been in my Audi. And like you saw about, they're eating McDonald's back there. There's fries on the floor, and it was irking me to. I was just like, I got to get something, and so I went and bought something this weekend, literally, so they wouldn't like eat and mess up my car.
Y'all messed this up.
Some of these minivan, and it goes back to that not the car. I can't remember the name of it. Like those vans, like used to have tables. So you talking about eating?
Yeah. Like we had a customized van. We had one of the full size customized van. It had the table in the middle and like with the captain's chairs in the second row, and you get to the third. Like we had all of that, and then we switched to a minivan after my mom got tired of driving the big van. And so we had one, and so I know how good a minivan can be. And you got to think it was 6 of us or 7 of us, right? Like 5 kids and 2 parents. So we needed something big anyway. And so it was, man, I just don't understand how. Is it just that it looks bad, or is it that stigma of soccer mom? Like guys won't buy it.
A lot of these crossover vehicles look very similar. Like the crossover vehicles are becoming more van-like, and the vans are becoming more crossover-like. It's very rare that you see, even with some of these crossover SUVs. I was telling Z, most of them, unless they're American made, are very, I guess, feminine. Like when you look at a lot of these Nissans or whatever, they're one step away from being a minivan. The minivan just has to. I mean, for one, like you said, you had a problem trying to find one. They're selling.
Yeah.
They're probably one of the more popular vehicles in America right now. People are buying them left and right. I know a lot of couples with minivans now. And we have one, so we're gonna keep this and pay it off, and then I'll probably get Z another car in the next year or two, and keep the minivan, like Byron said, for the kids when we do family vacations and stuff and travel, and that's it. But we become so image conscious that.
That's really what it is. It's about the image that comes with it.
Yeah, it's like if you have a family of 4 or more, minivans make sense. But it's the look. We're one generation removed from station wagons, right?
So I don't think they are good looking vehicles, but I don't, like you say, a family of 4 or more. You're not really worried about that. You're trying to get these kids to point A and point B.
But you have your
car. You have your personal
You're still
car.
looking a little bit like, especially if you got to be driving it all day. Especially as a dad, I can tell you, as a dad, like I want a little bit of coolness factor when I'm driving the kids around.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't accept being like less cool because we got more kids. It's like, all right, you got your second kid, you just give up on how you look.
But I'm just saying, like, you're not gonna find a couple with no kids in a minivan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right. So it's probably not.
I think people are buying it. They will settle, like, this looks good for a minivan, but they're buying it for what it can do. Like, you have these kids and things like that. Nobody's buying a minivan because that's their dream.
I agree. I think what it is same with station wagon. I was like, man, I can't wait to get grown and, have my kids so I can buy me a station wagon. I think it's functionality. I guess the bigger question is like, if this meets all your needs outside of looks, right? Why wouldn't you go with the minivan? That's the bigger question. I see what you're saying, Byron. Like, it's just me and my wife. Why would we need a minivan? I got this. It's depending on the day. It could be, the 3 of you. It can be 5 of you. Haley's with you. It can be 6 of you. Like, it could be, the minivan gives everybody all the room they need, all the trunk space they need, all the gas is better, all these things, but yet and still, would you go out and buy? Not a minivan.
Kia Telluride.
And you know guys that'll buy a Suburban and they don't need all that room, but they like how
it looks.
A Suburban it looks.
Makes you feel.
So minivan is a top 4 vehicle villain.
Yeah,
I think so.
You gotta put either a BMW or a Porsche with personalized tags. Because of people just think those people are jerks. So it's up there too, man.
EVs as a whole group, is that a villain at this point? So, or is it just the Tesla? Because I'll tell you, I was looking at the Kia EVs and they look really, really nice. Like I was like, okay, I could see myself driving one of those, but they just charge too much for EVs.
People who have EVs love them.
What was the Toyota? What was the Toyota first electric car?
The Prius?
Yes,
is it a Prius?
Those guys. Screw Prius owners.
Prius owners.
Oh God, they're like cat people.
Oh man,
I assume everybody with a Prius is a cat person.
That's messed up.
Yeah, because I remember when I was at Enterprise and I got in a Prius, and I've never been in an electric vehicle. You know how many times I turned that bitch on? Like it's see, I turned it on and press the button and push start, yada yada. This is 2011, 2012, and I just felt so.
Hear it.
No.
Yeah. That's funny you talk about the sound because it was out of the Kia Telluride and the Chevy Traverse as the cars I wanted to buy, and the Chevy Traverse sounded like a lawnmower when I was in it. It was like I likened it to a teenager.
Was it a V6?
No, that's the problem. It's a turbocharged V4 and
you got the wrong one.
4-cylinder. No, they all are the new ones. They are all 4-cylinder.
Okay, you said the V6.
They moved away. Yeah, and so that's the problem. Is that it looks awesome. It has a lot of horsepower to be a 4-cylinder, but it's like a teenager that they'll get it done, but they're going to complain the entire time, and that's what the engine sounded like. It was like, all right, I'm gonna go fast for you, but and it'll like just make this sound that says it's complaining. It really doesn't want to do it. And so that's really what ultimately switched me over to the Kia.
What did the Sorento have? Not the Sorento. The
Telluride?
The Kia, the minivan.
The minivan was a V6 as well. It had a little bit more. The difference was the look. It looked like a lowered Suburban to me. So the Kia Carnival, it's the back sat further back because it has the more space for luggage and everything like that. So from the back wheel to the back of the car, it extended kind of like a Suburban would, if you kind of think about it like that. It just looked long. It wasn't tall enough, but very long. And so I just, again, it gave you minivan feel. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like the look. So I ended up with the Telluride.
It's a minivan. So as somebody who's driven multiple minivans, including, and I've driven the Chevy Traverse. I mean, the minivans have won. So my first job out of college, I worked for Philip Morris, and my company car was a minivan until they switched to, I had to trade it in. They gave me a Chevy Traverse. I met Z. I was driving a minivan. I got all the jokes. Back to what you were saying, Byron, young single guy, minivan. What the hell? But kind of what you were saying, this is pre-Uber. Anytime was a trip.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
we drove it to the Clay. We drove it to Miami. We drove it all over Atlanta. Anytime. I got invited to every trip. I was specifically invited to every trip because I had the minivan. I had the stow and go luggage, so that's where the cooler was. We enjoyed it.
I'm not gonna forget where I came from now, because our friend Wendell Grant.
That was
drove a van.
Oh, yeah.
So I ain't gonna forget where I came from. It's been a lot of good times riding around.
We almost died in that van several times.
So,
in case you forgot.
But yeah, man, if you ever with a group out of town and you get that Uber XL trust me, you will be happy to see a minivan pull up.
Yeah. Yeah, like we've actually
get out and
give
fold down those
minivans a
seats.
chance. That's why I asked the question, because I at least gave it a chance, Ferg. I did look at it.
Nah,
it just, when I sat, like literally when we sat in that Telluride, the kids were like, "This is the one." Like, and we sat in that before we went and sat in the minivan, and coming off of it, it's just they're night and day. So yeah, it's hard to kind of change.
Yeah,
but
when they hit somebody's car with your door, I want you to think minivan.
Right.
When they put that Telluride, I want you to think minivan. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it's been times where we depending on how far we're going, what we're doing, you want to take the truck or the minivan, and it's a toss up with the kids. We know we go on luggage, and we might have to bring more people. We're jumping in the minivan in a heartbeat. We've done date night, couples things, minivan. So, I think that's all the time we have, fellas. Go ahead and close on out.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Yeah, I just want to start off. I talked about Sophie and Ollie having their tonsils out, and I want to shout out Baptist Princeton Hospital here in Birmingham. It felt black, and that's unusual to say, but it really did. It felt black. It felt like home. They felt welcoming. It's a simple surgery, but it is a surgery. They had to put them under and everything. And like multiple people came in and just like, hey, want to pray with you guys and everything. And say prayers for us and everything. And then they did a great job. The kids, yesterday was pretty bad coming off of the anesthesia and everything. But today they're doing a lot better. They're up moving and still feeling sore. So I want to shout them out. And then I want to shout out that Ninja Slushie Maker because that thing has been moving since we got home, making all kind of orange slushies. And orange is the best flavor if you want to make a soda slushie on that. So, yes, it tastes delicious. And so the kids have been on that, keeping their throats cool and everything. So shout out to that. But I just want to, just thank God they got through it, everything. Everybody was nervous. Thank everybody who was just checking on them and everything like that. But they're good. They're back. And you guys will hear from Sophie next week as she tells a joke.
Very cool. So, been talking about villains a lot. I'm going to keep that theme going with my final thoughts. Villains in the movies and in real life, they always find a way to earn a lot of people's trust first. Nobody shows up day one and says, hey, I'm the villain right here. They usually earn your trust. And then they're able, especially like we talked about abusers and things like that. They usually make nice with the parents, make nice with your friends and things like that. And you get married and then they slowly but surely start making you distance yourselves from those same people. I bring that up because I read a story. Y'all know I read the newspaper. I read a story. You ever heard of Maypearl, Texas, Fert? So Maypearl, Texas is I feel like it's about a couple hours south of Dallas. So I don't even think it's south of Houston. I think it's south of Dallas. But anyway, very, very small town. And once again, we have what I've usually in the past talked about police officers that have used their position to take advantage of young girls, and usually young girls who have already been a victim of sexual assault. And then they think they finally find someone they can trust, only to have that person take advantage of them and sexually assault them again. Well, this time in Maypearl, it was the chief of police who sexually assaulted a teenager. And, you know, she wound up telling people, and because the town was so small and the police had so much power, nobody really wanted to do anything. One lady went to the next county over, told the sheriff, and the sheriff was like, well, if the parents don't want to press charges, there's nothing I can do. That's not true. But I say all that to say that, especially if you're in a small town, these people that are put in charge need to be vetted. Now, you may have an outcome like the incoming president where he is fully vetted. Nobody gives a damn. They're still going to elect him anyway. But we need to really fully vet people that we put in power, that we put in charge, especially if they're going to have dealings with our kids, because that's how the cycle of abuse is able to begin and continue and continue and continue, because nobody wants to speak out. People were afraid to speak out against him because of what would happen to their little store that they own or their job that they had. So I just want to, just say, be on the lookout for villains, man. Vet people that have authority over especially young people, because I feel like this happens too much. We saw it in New Orleans. It's happening in a small town in West Virginia. It happens everywhere all the time, and it doesn't get talked about, I don't think, enough. We need to start vetting people that we put in charge, man.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Byron. We talked a lot about villains today. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to tell about a feel-good story, or at least a me feel-good story. So I will say, for you guys that know and listen to the show, I just celebrated my birthday, my 44th birthday, and want to give a shout out to my wife and my sister to start out. My wife tricked me and led me to believe we were just doing a family photo shoot for my birthday. And I believed it, because there was a lot of things going on that all led up to it looking like a photo shoot. And we met up at a restaurant that was supposed to have a good scenery and lighting and yada, yada, yada. And to be completely transparent, on the way to the restaurant, my wife started texting a lot. So I felt like something was up. And I thought it was going to be her and my sister and some of my family members just doing a dinner for me, because we just did it recently a month prior for my dad. And so that seemed like the norm. But on the way there, it was still kind of surprising. They're my family's going to get together. And I get there and I get into the restaurant, and the first thing I see is my family. So it was so perfect. And as I kept walking into that area, I was completely taken aback as when I saw, first of all, I think I saw my line brother Action and his wife, then Rozzy and his new young lady. And I was completely just floored. There's a video out there. They did a good job of capturing the moment. When I say I was completely caught off guard, but I don't think I've ever felt a moment of such appreciation in my life, where it was just like, man. And then I kept looking, and I saw it in spurts. I kept looking, and then I saw my sister, Tisha, who I've been seeing in about 2 years since the Thanksgiving, since my dad died. And then I looked at, and it was just like my niece was there, and then I had other friends from Houston, and it was just all these people I had talked to in some form or fashion over the last week or so who didn't give me any idea what was going on. There was actually a couple we were with the weekend before. We went to Galveston for Polar Express. I hadn't talked to Rozzy because he had started a new job, but didn't expect him to be there because he just started a new job. There's no way he can make it to Houston. I actually talked to Action, my line brother, that morning. Him and his wife were still in Atlanta. I was actually talking to his son. So all of it caught me off guard, because I'm like, I just talked to you. And I say that these people made that moment and that weekend so special. So if I haven't said it to you individually, I want to say it out loud on my show. My God, you guys, I said it, wow. Sometimes that's all you can say was wow. And I think those were my words on The video was just wow. I've never felt that appreciated. Never knew I needed to feel that appreciated. And it was something special. And I've tried to do something similar for other people. And I know it was a big deal for them or they felt special, but I never felt that for myself and realized in that moment how crazy it was. And you guys, you know, I mean, you did a great job. We had a blast that weekend. I'm still recovering. But to those people, to, you know, all the people that came near and far, thank you, thank you, thank you. It will be a therapy session because now I don't even know where to go from here. You know, I'm not used to being celebrated. And it was a special moment. So I want to thank you all. And I think that's pretty much it. Also, Rizzy's a bad because the way he DJs, he's a baddie. But thank you, babe. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you for all my guests that came. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I had a blast. I think we had a couple people die, get stuck. Outside of that, Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. This will be our last episode for the year. So once you hear us again, God willing, we will bring it in 2025. So 6 rules of podcast: listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.